Elephants in Lake Michigan? What is going on? What are ley lines? Why does that sound so familiar? Ley lines.
There's a portal right here. And he says whenever they would do the ceremonies, the portal would open. It was built by the survivors of Atlantis, just like the pyramids were. There are portals in many of these sacred places.
She said the survivors of Atlantis built the Stonehenges.
Down into the abyss with him, saw some creatures, and yeah, it gets crazy, everybody.
Okay, he opened up something, a portal, a Stargate, whatever, but he was excited, and he was jumping up and down, and
You better lock in and buckle up because you're in for another creepy and scary TikTok reaction video. If you haven't already, smash that like and subscribe button. You guys know what time it is. Hyper mode, activate. How you doing?
40 feet under Lake Michigan in Grand Traverse Bay is a Stonehenge. It's not nearly as big as the OG Stonehenge, but it is 4,000 years older, right after the Ice Age ended, and that's very, very important. There are actually stone circles all over the planet. Most of them are in the Northern Hemisphere. The highest concentration of these is obviously in Northern Europe, Great Britain, that area. Literally a network. You should go check out all of them. So what's the deal with the one in America? It's very small. There's a small circular concentration of stones and then a line of stones that goes off in two directions. You cannot go visit it, and here's why.
Why is it so important to you?
Anishinaabe culture, we refer to stones as animate objects because they come from the mother, the earth, who is alive. We refer to them as Mishumas, grandfather. They've reinforced that we have been here a long time, and that's why we've been so particular with your crew about the location.
Stone circles in the UK were built by Gandalf. That's a joke, but druids built it. It's where we get the concept of wizards. The North American equivalent would be the shamans. Now you don't need a bunch of stones in a circle to tell the seasons and time. You can use a stick. So what were these for? Well, there just so happens to be a lot of interaction between the Earth and the Sun. This interaction is from the Earth's magnetic field interacting with the Sun as it bombards us, and if it works properly, it creates some really cool stuff like the aurora. The interior of the Earth generates this field, but sometimes it does not work properly. The ionosphere is the interaction between those two. There's a lot of highly charged particles. That magnetic field can change and is also influenced slightly by the tides. We can detect these magnetic fields through crystals that resonate with certain elements inside the Earth. This is how we find oil and minerals, and some of these crystals even produce electricity under pressure. So conceptually, we have a lot of charged particles in the sky and a magnetic engine in the Earth. Well, about 9,000 years ago, when all these started popping up, the magnetic field of the Earth was about 2/3 the strength it is today. Coincidentally, around the time they were abandoned, the magnetic field fully recovered. So to give you a timeline, we have 12,000 years ago, Younger Dryas, which was likely caused by an impact, throws the Earth into chaos. These things are built right when Earth starts to stabilize. Stonehenge is built on chalk. Chalk is an insulator, like a circuit board. So if we couple the ionosphere with the magnetosphere using materials on Earth and connect that in a network, we can stabilize the magnetic field of an entire region. So you store that potential energy in the rocks during the day. Then at night, like a battery, it discharges, stabilizing the magnetic field. Or it was a seasonal calendar and a grave. Were built by
Alive, we refer to them as Mishumat objects because they
Why is it so important to you?
Anishinaabe culture.
Anishinaabe culture. That's interesting. I wish
Stonehenge of Lake Michigan, as it's come to be known, was discovered by Mark.
Look at this. This kind of looks like bars. If we examine this, hold on, let's put this larger.
Colley, the professor of underwater archaeology at the Northwestern University of Michigan, and his colleague Brian Abbott. The circle is estimated to be around 9,000 years old, but there are various drawings on some of the stones, and one is of a mastodon, a large elephant-type animal that died out over 10,000 years ago. Carbon dating stone man-made objects can be very difficult as the stone is likely already millions of years before it was even touched, and since there's no bones or tools at the site, it's difficult to get a definite date for when it was built. But two things stand out when it comes to dating, and that its location and the mastodon drawing. The Ice Age.
Alright guys, there it is. Your guys' thoughts below. Is this an elephant? Is it a mastodon? What is this? You guys tell me. Me looking at it, it's giving me elephant vibes. But to think elephants were over there at this time? In Lake Michigan? Elephants in Lake Michigan? What is going on? You guys tell me in the comments below.
The mastodon drawing. The Ice Age ended just after 10,000 BC, and during this time sea levels were much lower than today. It would have to be at least 9,000 years old in order for them to have built it on dry land in the first place, and unless someone finds some Native American scuba artifacts, it seems that it wasn't constructed when the area was underwater. The pictures in person who enter Stonehenge of Lake.
Yeah, if you ask me, it definitely wasn't built underwater. It's like the stones haven't been disturbed, you know? So it makes me believe that there's more under it. That could just be the tippy top of the Stonehenge. You know, wherever this is located, I guarantee you there's definitely something more massive under it. How fascinating. Your guys' thoughts below on the Stonehenge. But that still doesn't answer what we've been hearing about the pyramid. Because if we go back and we watch this video, and this isn't the first time I heard about it, but just a quick recap.
Look at this, y'all. A gigantic warm spot has been spotted through satellite pictures in Lake Michigan. Look how big that is. Look, first look at it right here, y'all. It looks like there is something coming out of it. Look at that. It looks like land is rising, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe the South Antarctic anomaly again, something like that. But you guys know the story or the history of Lake Michigan, right? Right? The nickname for Lake Michigan is Lake Michigan Graveyard. Did you know that there are over 10,000 boats and vessels and over 30,000 people that have been caught drowning in Lake Michigan? Did you guys know that? They call it Lake Michigan Graveyard. Not only that, but as of recently, look, Atlantis under a Michigan lake, they found a prehistoric structure in Lake Michigan, you guys. Now, they are calling it Stonehenge because they don't want to throw people off. But look, to create structures like Egyptian pyramids or British Stonehenge. The definition of Stonehenge is literally a prehistoric megalithic structure. You know what I'm saying? So that could be anything, a big rock. But what they are saying is they just found a pyramid under Lake Michigan. Now, I don't know how true this is, y'all, but take a listen to this.
Have you heard that a gigantic pyramid just popped up from nowhere under Lake Michigan and scientists saw something terrifying inside? No way. Yo, check this out. Just last week, a bunch of researchers from Detroit decided to dive deep to explore what's under the lake. Little did they know, they were about to hit the jackpot of weird. They gear up, and as they're sinking deeper, they start hearing these bizarre noises no one's heard before, even though they've traveled around these parts loads of times. Oh, yeah. They shrugged it off and kept going. But then, bam, out of the blue, they spot this massive structure chilling in the distance. So the crew hops out for a closer look, running tests on the thing, and here's the kicker. The material itself doesn't match anything on our planet. Oh my god. It's like some alien architect swung by and left us a little souvenir. They're all freaking out because, hello, this is uncharted territory.
Now, again, I don't know how true this is because they do things behind our back and they don't tell us anything, you guys. Remember, they just leave us in the dark. But it says more confusion has been added to this long-standing mystery with the discovery of an enigmatic prehistoric structure beneath the U.S. Lake Michigan. So they're probably finding a whole bunch of things down there, and they're not telling us about anything because they want to keep us in the dark. They don't want us to know what's really happening around the world, y'all. But this right here is something to look into because there's changing happening all over our planet. And this right here, not just because of what Lake Michigan is known for, but what is coming out of that lake. What is coming out of that lake?
Strictly for entertainment purposes. Shout out to Conscious Joe. and Bass Forge on that last one. But yeah, I just want to do a quick recap of yesterday's video. They're saying satellite images finding some type of anomaly under Lake Michigan. So now they're saying a creature is coming out of the pyramid. It's making different sounds, material that they have never seen before. We need actual photos of this. What can we get? Is it just the Stonehenge we can get access of right now? It seems like they're keeping a lot from us from this Lake Michigan anomaly. Something's under there.
I have been wanting to redo my Michigan Triangle video, and this is a great reason. So, Michigan Triangle is this section of Lake Michigan where a lot of spooky, weird things have occurred over the years. Ships, people just up and disappearing, strange lights that are unexplainable, and submerged objects. First and foremost, in 1937, we have Captain George R. Donner, who was sailing the O.M. McFarland through the Great Lakes. He retreated to his cabin to take a little nap after the treacherous journey. When his crew came to wake him upon arrival at their destination, he was gone. Nothing was amiss. The captain had just simply disappeared. And this happened when they were sailing through the Michigan Triangle, of course. June 23rd, 1950, Northwest Flight 2501 was traveling from New York City to Seattle. As they were flying over the Michigan Triangle, they encountered a terrible electrical storm. The captain requested to descend to 2,500 feet, and his request was denied. Shortly after, the radar goes dark, the plane disappears, never to be heard or seen again. So many searches have gone underway for this plane, and nothing has been recovered except, unfortunately. And then in 2007, a sonar search was done of the Michigan Triangle to see if any shipwrecks could be recovered. But what they discovered instead, about 40 feet down, was a collection of stones arranged in a pattern resembling Stonehenge. They sent divers down to take photos of these amazing stones and even found what could be prehistoric drawings of a mastodon. I wasn't able to find online if they were authenticated by someone professionally yet. If anyone from Michigan knows, I would love to know. But, this is why Lake Michigan freaks me out the most over Lake Superior. It has a Stonehenge.
Shout out Sarah Toro for that video. They got a drawing. It would be difficult to draw that underwater, y'all. So I definitely believe it was land there at one time.
Fans asked me to do a video on the Bermuda Triangle, but since that's played out and I'm from Michigan, I'm going to do one on the legend of the Lake Michigan Triangle. The Lake Michigan Triangle runs from Manitowoc, Wisconsin, to Ludington, to Benton Harbor. The triangle has been claiming ships since the 1800s, and in 1950 it even took down a commercial flight. Out of the 2,000 ships lost in Lake Michigan, only a few have been found, but the ones in the triangle, divers find them perfectly intact. Some divers have even claimed that they've seen bodies 100 years old that look the same as the day they went down, with hair on their head and food on their dinner plates. Many believe the answer was found in 2007, when underwater explorers discovered a 9,000-year-old Stonehenge at just 12 meters deep. Nearby, they also discovered a carving of a mastodon in a large stone that was connected to earthen mounds and a rock path that went out of the water across Michigan into Lake Huron and into Canada. Enthusiasts are baffled by the discovery, but state officials haven't released the coordinates of the Stonehenge just yet.
Yeah, guys, it looks like we can't get photos yet of that pyramid or that Stonehenge. We got to get a new diving team down there. Got to get some new exploring going on. We need answers. Could the Stonehenge possibly been some type of portal?
There's a portal right here. And he says whenever they would do the ceremonies, the portal would open and they could go to another earth. And he said if you watch, sometimes it would be like a black hole would appear in the ground. So that's why I was wondering, where is the center? It was in the exact center of the stones, he said. And it would open, and they could travel to other dimensions and travel into the earth too. So this was what it was used for. But this was a place of peace and goodness and love during that time.
United Kingdom, and this is the greatest mass awakening of all time. We waited 26,000 years in the age of Aquarius to wake up the entire world. I'm so happy that I didn't tap out on life, that I stayed the course, and that we're here to wake up the world and bring people together and unite. This is it. Extraterrestrials are real. I'm an extraterrestrial. Yes, I was born here, but my conscience is from somewhere else. And now we're waking up in the middle. Pleiadian starseed. This lifetime, but in general, we're all one. That's really the main point. Nobody's better than anybody else. We just vibrated a different frequency. We played this game many times, and now this is our last incarnation. Waking up the world, heading home.
There's a portal.
That's an interesting theory. I don't necessarily agree with some of the things that were said, but I definitely think some type of portal technology was available. Maybe it could have went from Stonehenge to Stonehenge is my thoughts. Like for like a teleportation system to get every single molecule within the Stonehenge and transport that to another Stonehenge, every single molecule within that. Like a Scotty beam me up, but instead of getting beamed, you're getting beamed across. So that's just my thoughts on it. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on the Stonehenge portals, what you guys may think.
I was at Stonehenge a few weeks ago. We found a driver like on short notice, and the driver is all in on Stonehenge being an alien portal. And I have a conversation with him. I said, so what do you think? Oh, well, it's aliens, of course. This is where you come, and the aliens would teleport. And I just asked him, don't you think there'd be some technology visible other than rocks? And he said, oh, no, they took that away with them. They don't use it anymore. I remain unconvinced that we've been visited by aliens. We have high-resolution images of the surface of Mars, and the best you have is a fuzzy, monochromatic tic-tac?
Hey, we don't know, man, what type of frequency could have been vibrating, what could have been humming around that atmosphere, and what could have popped up. I'm just saying. Maybe all you needed was a couple of those, you know? Maybe they could have been the batteries. I'm just saying.
Stonehenge is a transport hub. And just because the Romans knocked half of it down does not mean it's broken.
Excuse me? The general public's not permitted to approach the stones without the correct authorization.
Stonehenge is a transport hub.
Hey, they already got movies on it. They know what's up. I don't know what he was doing, crackling and popping. You know, at least do some type of wushu or some type of, you know, something. I don't know what that was.
And just because the Romans knocked half of it down does not mean it's broken.
Excuse me? The general public's not permitted to approach the stones without the correct authorization.
I don't know what that was. I'm trying to think maybe the indigenous people of that, maybe that was their type of language. Hey, I don't know. I don't know about that one, y'all. To get it started, I don't know. Some type of humming at least or something.
Stonehenge, what is that?
Stonehenge is a gigantic place that allows you to do star alignments and also harness frequencies. Stonehenge may have been also a portal generator. There's been accounts where people disappeared. A weird lightning storm comes out of nowhere, and this is back before they put up the gates and the fences and all that, and all of a sudden people just scream and then disappear from the center of the circle. And so it may be some type of a portal generator, maybe it harnessed some type of energy or magnetic field of the earth and open up a portal. It could be an ancient communication device. It might have been multifunctional, just like the Great Pyramid at Giza. It could be a multifunctional device. Star alignments, communication, and portal generation as well.
Is it aligned with anything?
All star alignments. It aligns with specific stars and solstices that happen around the planet. The summer solstice, the winter solstice, all those alignments can be found right there at Stonehenge. And it's also rumored to have been built by who? The Atlantean priest king from the Emerald Tablets.
Stonehenge, what is that?
Why they have them looking like that? Hey, eat the meat and spit out the bones, man. There could be some validity to all this, man. Keep your head on a swivel. Take what you can.
Of the Stonehenge hippies.
I have not.
Okay, so this was early 1970s. This was at a point in time when you could actually still, go up to Stonehenge and actually camp out if you wanted to. And there was a group of young adults that decided to camp out at Stonehenge. There was a storm that was rolling through. There was a policeman that was passing by, and for some reason there was a farmer in the area that was still up. And as the storm rolled in, there was this big blue flash of lightning. They heard some screams, and they noticed that everybody that was there at Stonehenge, those young adults, had completely disappeared.
Poof.
Poof.
Gone.
The question then becomes, okay, we've considered Stonehenge for clerical purposes. We've considered it for ritual purposes. We've considered it, okay, it has astronomical alignments. Was it possibly also some sort of portal or Stargate?
So what's the difference between a portal and a Stargate? That looks like some type of melted technology. That looks CNC cut right there. And some melted technology going on, y'all. That one looks like a straight hand. You see the thumb indentation? That looks like a hand dug directly into the ground like this. See? Tell me it don't look like that. But a closer look, guys, there ain't no way they had people lift these. Hey, that's just off the bat with something I've seen.
It is a school of astronomy, is what it is. Oh, definitely. And on certain times of the year, they would have ceremonies. When that would happen, there's a portal right here. And he says whenever they would do the ceremonies, the portal would open and they could go to another Earth. And he said, if you watch, sometimes it would be like a black hole would appear in the ground. So that's why I was wondering, where is the center? It was in the exact center of the stones, he said. And it would open, and they could travel to other dimensions and travel into the Earth, too. Well, as the story went along, they had an invasion, and they called it the Norsemen, who came in, and they were killers. They were expert at killing. If they couldn't kill you in one blow, they were not a good warrior. So anyway, they were invading and everybody was screaming and running. He came here to try to hold the energy. And they came in and they killed him on the center part on the portal. And they said they didn't do it the fast way, the way they normally do. They did it ritually because they knew his power as a priest. We said when that happened, it contaminated the whole place. It turned it from the place of peace, I tried to remember, into a place of negativity and war. So it would never be the same again. And that destroyed the positive energy. So after that, they said the people realized many years later that it was no longer what it was supposed to be. And that's when they brought these stones down to destroy the negative energy.
Dolores was putting it on us, wasn't she? She was like, this is what really went down. I love it, man. Your guys' thoughts below on that story. What you took away from it. Who is it that they were fighting again? They said in one blow? Those were some serious warriors. And if you go back to my King Charles video, when we talk about in Ireland, how the megalithic structures were actually shelters, you know, could these be the same people that were going around?
Into the tree.
So here we're looking at a 5,000-year-old ancient megalithic structure in Alberta, Canada. The Majorville Medicine Wheel in Iskimin Mappi. Some believe it is an ancient Stonehenge, and others believe it has great healing powers and a portal to a spiritual world. So here we're...
There's a Stonehenge in Canada. These could have been teleport beacons. Who knows?
Você já se perguntou como povos antigos...
Well, this is a school of astronomy. On certain, like the pyramids were. There are portals in many of these sacred places. Well, this is a school of astronomy. On certain times of the year, they would have ceremonies. A village would come, and all of them would gather as they did these ceremonies. And when they did the alignment on the certain times of the year, the whole village will face to the north because that's where he was. At other times of the year, they might face the one who was standing at the south. And the other, depending on what the, I guess the seasons were. Okay, now when that would happen, there's a portal right here. And they could go to another Earth. And they could travel to other dimensions and travel into the Earth too.
All right, let's take what she said. Another Earth. What if she meant outside the wall? Because new information's being exposed to 2024. New information's coming to the light. She could have meant another beacon to another place, another Earth. I've seen photos where people said this was Earth Pond 1. Imagine this is a giant geocentric realm, and there's just ponds in each one. This could be Earth Pond 1. There can be another Earth Pond 2. What if this was a teleport beacon to Earth Pond 1 to Earth Pond 2? That's what I'm thinking when they say in different Earths. Just keep that in mind.
But this was a place of peace and goodness and love during that time. It wasn't built by man. Well, it was by men who had special knowledge to survive goodness and love during that time. It wasn't built by man. Well, it was by men who had special knowledge, the survivors of Atlantis, because they knew how to levitate stones and how to mold the rocks. It was built by the survivors of Atlantis, just like the pyramids were. There are portals in many of these sacred places.
She said the survivors of Atlantis built the Stonehenges. Wow, that's huge. That's a huge one. That's a gem.
Stonehenge is a prehistoric monument which has a lot mysteries.
According to the folklore, it was created by a wizard named Merlin with the help of giants. It is also believed that Stonehenge is a portal to another world.
Alright, this is in a different language, but you can get what they're trying to say with the visuals here. What are ley lines? Why does that sound so familiar? Ley lines. You guys know anything about ley lines? What are they?
This is one of the most mysterious landmarks in the entire world, Stonehenge. But how old is it really? Well, for that we have to discuss the stones first. In the middle we have blue stones, which weigh around 4 tons, and they come from 150 kilometers away in Wales, which is a long way without the use of wheel or heavy animals of burden. And then we have the slaughter stone. Every time it rains, the water collects on it and turns into a bloody red. Many theories abound as to why this is the case. Apparently the ancient Druids committed so much ritual sacrifice that the blood seeped into the stone, and every time it rains, the blood comes back out. But in actuality, it's a mixture of mineral and algae combining together with water, and it turns into a bloody red. And then we have the huge sarsen stones, which weigh up to 40 tons, and they come from a few kilometers away. How did they bring them over here, and how were they stacked up without the use of cranes? Well, who knows as well. Stay curious, my friends.
Whoa, did you hear about that stone in the middle? I don't know if that's algae or not. You're not moving that stone. I'm sorry. You need an airship.
The ruins of the first ever city, because I'm not. That's in Iraq. It's hard to believe I'm walking through the ruins of the first ever city, because I'm not. That's in Iraq, which is miles away. But the remains of it look pretty much like this, so you'd never know I wasn't actually there if I wasn't telling you now by accident. It's hard to...
Alright, y'all. Now we gotta dive off into the Stargate real quick.
What do you call yourself? Colonel Marshall Sumner, United States Marine Corps.
As you can see, our soldiers standing at the ancient site. My opinion, this war was fought all over advanced technology. Our ancestors are mysterious spiritual people, and they left us clues and hints how to tap back into this knowledge. They left us gateways all over the world, and this was a tool to communicate with the ancestors. You will have huge doors cut out of mountains or nature. People will come up to this doorway looking for a secret entry or a hidden button. You can't go through this doorway physically. You must astral project, which means you travel through this doorway with your soul and not your physical body. You must sit down, become balanced, and meditate, and the skies will open up right in front of your face. When you have a higher consciousness, you can tap into this knowledge and decipher these riddles. They want you to believe that the portals look like this. When there's portals all over the world, national parks and everywhere, continue to tap into the spiritual realm. Peace and ashe, guys.
Believe it or not, this right here behind me is one of the Stargates on Earth. This Stargate is just outside of Puno,
Now, this Stargate is called the Gateway of the Gods, and it was discovered in 1996 by a guy by the name of Jose. What's fascinating is that when Jose found this, he actually fainted. The reason for him fainting wasn't the altitude. The reason that he fainted was because he actually saw this Stargate in his dreams multiple times. Now, he claims that in his dreams that there was a purple road leading up to the Stargate, and of course, as you can see, there's no such road. However, he knew instantly that this was what was in his dream, and he knew that this was calling him for majority of his life. His family members also verified this because he had talked about it a lot with them as well. Now, what's also crazy is that there's an Inca prophecy linked to this Stargate. So now, what is that Inca prophecy?
Baniwe? If you know, you know. Here are some things you may or may not know about the movie Stargate. The 1994 movie was co-written and directed by Roland Emmerich, co-written by Dean Devlin. They even hired Egyptologist Stuart Tyson Smith to make sure that the Egyptian was as close as possible for a science fiction film. The movie centers around a linguist, Dr. Daniel Jackson, played by James Spader. He thought the script was, and I quote, awful. And apparently he did it for the payday. And I'm glad he did. I thought he was great in this. Kurt Russell plays such a good military colonel too. The director wanted the Stargate to come to life using real materials. This was filmed by shooting an air cannon into a water tank. The air gun could go from 1 to 500 pounds of pressure. They didn't know how much to use, so they said, let's use 120 pounds to start. That emptied out the entire water tank on the crew. They ended up only needing 1 pound of pressure. Oh, and this was filmed in reverse. The sand dunes of Yuma, Arizona provided the perfect location for the alien planet. But they had to film in the summertime because apparently other times of the year it would get in the way of the dune buggy season. That does sound fun. Anyway, it was unbelievably hot. Apparently everybody was drinking about 5 gallons of water a day and nobody was peeing. It was all sweat out. And the poor camera guys had to haul this hot equipment around. Ugh. One of the biggest problems they faced, though, was the footprints in the sand. They had to literally be swept away between every single take. The sets for this movie are amazing. Some of them they built, some of them were miniatures. The entrance to the pyramid was actually built. The villager city of Nagata was actually half and half. They built all of this to film, and this was the miniature. But it was so good that other filmmakers were contacting the production team afterwards and asking if they could use the set. Sorry guys, it's about this big. What do we think, CGI or a miniature? Miniature! So cool! The inside of the spaceship pyramid set is amazing too. It was filmed at the Spruce Goose Building in Long Beach, California. These creatures were actually horses with costumes, and they had to put them on with cranes. They had little fur skirts on too. The scene where the animal is pulling the James Spader character though was actually a dog with a mini costume on and a miniature figure. Jay Davidson received $1 million for his role as Ra. He's not a fan of Hollywood and didn't want to make this movie. He said, I'll do it for $1 million, thinking they wouldn't agree. Well, they did. 1,200 extras were used for this film. But to thicken the crowd a little bit, there was 1 mannequin for every 30 extras. Patrick Totopoulos, I'm so sorry if I said that wrong, was responsible for most of the production design. And boy, is it awesome. I love these headdresses. I think it's so cool mixing sci-fi with ancient Egyptian aesthetics. The beautiful score was done by David Arnold, and he was actually working as a clerk in a record store when he was hired for this film. The producers were skeptical at first, and then they heard what he wrote. And he's gone on to have a great career. What's your favorite part? Tell me in the comments. I love this movie. Like and follow for more. Bonnie.
I haven't seen it. I still gotta see Stargate. I still gotta see the Star Treks, Indiana Jones, and Stargate. I'm watching all the old school of everything. No movies till I watch the old schools. I got a lot to watch. I'm excited.
I can't even fathom. Light can't really get through. You're not going to feel anything. You're not going to smell anything until the surface is literally breached. The locale on that side will equalize with the locale on this side, and then you're good to go. You can kind of see like a glow happening, but again, you're not going to get anything more than that until you touch it. And once you do touch it and the surface is breached, this portal becomes self-sustained for like 2 hours.
Are you going to go through it?
taking samples of this water. Unbelievable. It's so warm and fresh here. It's like, it's almost like it's just untainted. You can't see it because the clouds are covering it, but there are two suns right off there. One, and there's a lesser sun like right there. Feels like home. I think it's still Earth. It's just, it's Earth in a different time, maybe. There it is. Two suns. Crazy. Beautiful.
I can't even fathom.
Man, you guys think it was real or not? He said there was two suns, a lesser one, and it felt like Earth. And he did, the graphics, the animation was great if it was, very interesting.
Rosemary, who claims to be Elon's nanny. She claimed that Elon Musk opened a portal in his bedroom. She went down into the abyss with him, saw some creatures, and yeah, it gets crazy, everybody.
Okay, he opened up something, a portal, a Stargate, whatever, but he was excited and he was jumping up and down. And
so he was able to open up a Stargate in his room.
Whatever you want to call it. I grabbed his little arm and I got sucked in. And it was dark in there, but it was glowing. And I was being sucked in and sucked down, and I had his little arm. And it was weird because, like, there was no bottom. And there were these creatures in there. And they were giant, and they were semi-shaped like humans. They were glorious. They weren't like Smeagol's or any creepy little demon dudes. They were like beautiful, ancient creatures that moved in a different time. And they were giant. And like they had a different head, like there was a bird head and like a cat head and a jackal head. And I would compare them, because I'm not super educated, to like Egyptian type of things, to the types of things May had, little artifacts of. I'm not from that region. So we're coming down in there. One of them grabbed me by the throat. And I closed my eyes, and I had him, and I was tiny, like a little rag doll compared to it, and it was holding me up like that, and I cried out. I felt like I couldn't talk, and I cried out, "Jesus, save me!" And it stopped, and we flew back, and we flew out of there, and I still had him. Had his little arm. And we flew back, and we rolled out of his room and out of the hallway and into the living room. And I, like, if you've ever fallen off a merry-go-round and you woo, and you like stop yourself, and I stopped, and we like grabbed the ground, and I was like, I just felt dizzy, and I looked up at him, and he looked up at me, and we're like on the ground like we're looking at a bug. And he looked up at me, and he goes, "Moon, why are you not like my friends?" And I said, "Well, it's scary in your room, Elon. It's dark." Well, they started calling him Elon later. They switched his name. And I remember the difference. So he tried to feed me to his friends, and he knew exactly what he was doing, because he called me to come play with his friends. Those things and that. And I said Revelation 10, but I think it's Revelation 9. But I think maybe he's the demon from the Apollo from Revelation 10. I think maybe he's a clone.
Man, that was Dark Waters for real, man. Tried to feed him to the Anunnaki, didn't he? Oh, man, for entertainment purposes only, man. Do your own research on everything. Keep your head on a straight swivel. If you made it this far, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I love having you guys on this waters. We're going to be bringing these boys out to you daily. So I appreciate you guys, and tune in. I'm going to see you tomorrow, same time. I'm doing another video. I'm trying to pump these boys out at least 5 times a week, but if not daily. We're going live on the weekends. Be sure to check me out on those lives. I will keep you guys updated. Shout out to all the members. Huge shout out to all of them. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Thank you, all members of Dark Waters 9 Society. See you on the next creepy, scary, and strange video with Jet Ski Chuck.